Welcome to another episode of Sync and Desist.
Welcome.
I have to remember this is Sync and Desist. In last week's episode, the birthday special, I said I had to cut it out too. Good thing it was audio only because I said, and please subscribe to This Is Nonsense on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where you listen to new episodes, because I release new episodes every Tuesday.
Right.
I said Tuesday. I was like, no, wrong podcast.
Has the Thursday release schedule been working for you pretty good? Like, as far as algorithmically speaking, is that good?
Yeah, like a lot of people opt for immediately the video because it's like more convenient for some people, I guess. Like,
right.
But then like just throughout the week, I'll get those audio listens, and like I was telling you, like before, I may even say on the podcast, but like This Is Nonsense and Sync and Desist are like neck and neck as far as views, and like which is good. Like y'all are actually listening and paying attention because like we said we want to be able to, because like the crossover, but like we want to like build our individual brands to build up the Sync and Desist brand,
right?
Which has been working.
It should be that way. I know you probably think like, well, this is my my tentpole podcast right here. I'm branching off doing my own thing. I would expect like half the views or half the listens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it really should be lateral. Be like, okay, the carryover of everybody that listens to the Sync and Desist podcast should come right over to you.
Yeah,
I mean that are a core fan base, anyways. Like, so I think it kind of makes logical sense since we're on 181 today.
Yeah,
so we're getting close to that 200 mark, and yeah. Now, as our boy Douglas in his podcast, does he have a select day that he posts? I guess I need to ask my boy, but
so like what's hilarious, and he knows too, like he mentioned in his podcast, like I listen to that podcast whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
Like when we're recording this, I literally just got back in town, but I had like no like good Wi-Fi or anything, so I just doubled up. I listened to both of his last two episodes back to back.
I was like, I haven't heard from Rob in a while. I hope he's all right.
I had horrible like reception and just like Wi-Fi, but he said in a month or two ago, like, all right guys, I have a big announcement this episode. Fridays or Saturdays or something like that is when I release a new episode. And then he was gone for like 3 weeks, and then like he's been back, and like he's been off and on. And then like when I was away, we spoke, and he was like, dude, I'm gonna commit to like going consistently, and he's done that. And like his last two episodes, like if you don't listen to the D-List podcast, you missing out. Like all his episodes are like 15 minutes long, so it's like it's not an inconvenience at all. It is like it flies by. And if you listen to it, like I've like tried to promote it too, like even like he said some wild shit, and I love it. Like I told him, like it is.
He should be a talk show host.
Yeah,
dude.
Like he would absolutely get canceled, and I will stand by him. Like because he says things that we're all thinking, but no one's saying.
Right.
And like I'm that way, but like he goes like a step further. So even like I'm like, some of that shit you can't be saying. but like it's like we're all thinking it, but he's saying it.
Right.
And like I say some wild shit. Like he has absolutely no filter. Like on Sync and Desist, I try to have like a little bit of a filter, because like I'll be like, even like the older I've gotten, like I've tried to like just like, you don't know who's listening. Let's try to say something let's say what I want to say, but in a certain way. Like he flat out says it. I'm like,
yeah,
not many people like that anymore. And
right.
like it's one of those things I hella appreciate, but it's like I be thinking the same thing sometimes. But like one of his last episodes, he went straight into like a Batman voice. He's like, I can't even do like a Ben Affleck voice. He just did like a whole scene in Ben Affleck's Batman voice. and it was pretty good too.
That sounds like something I would try to do, right? But I need to listen to that. I need to get caught up on his episodes. So shouts to the D-List podcast.
Absolutely, subscribe. Is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like because he's on Anchor as well. The Anchor fam, but
That's right.
so I guess it's wherever you listen to podcasts. Definitely listen to the D-List podcast. Like it's hilarious, but it's also perspective.
Yeah, I think we just need to give like shouts to like anybody that is out there, like putting their thoughts out there, that doesn't necessarily align with like the most popular narrative of things. Like I think there's something that needs to be said about that, you know? Because I know a lot of times people will just put out certain opinions that they don't even themselves hold near and dear, just because, you know, they don't want to like make waves, you know? So I do appreciate that a lot. And I think healthy debate is healthy. I think that's good. But there's not really a whole lot of like discourse, you know. It just seems like it's kind of just vitriol online, you know, just trash talk. So but podcasting is like a nice form to be like, this is my voice, I'm using it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like with being on YouTube, it's like that's what I prefer. A lot of people love the video cast, but I prefer audio. Like if y'all stop watching the video of This Is Nonsense and Sync And Desist, I'll be like, all right, we don't need to do this because like I like audio anyways. But like for me, like I watch a lot of video podcasts, but I listen to more audio podcasts. Like,
yeah,
on YouTube, you can't get away with a lot of you can't get away with like saying crazy shit without it being taken down or whatever, or reported or anything. But like you can full on say your opinion on your podcast. And like that's what it's about. Like it's your platform. You can express your opinions. And like we've said wild shit. Like we did a whole adrenochrome episode on this podcast, and because it was not video.
Yeah.
Those episodes have hundreds of views. Our conspiracy theory episodes have hundreds of views.
We don't say shit as wild as Alex Jones does, but we've definitely touched on some things that he's already touched on. I'm like, you know what? This guy kind of spitting sometimes, you know?
Yeah, like I don't even think I said on this podcast, but like I was recently listening to a Candace Owens podcast episode that Candace Owens was on, and like a lot of what she was saying, I'm like, nah. But the rest, I'm like, yo, she's spitting a little bit. Like, and that's what it's about. Like, you don't have to agree with everything someone says, but when they say something that you agree with, you don't just condemn them because they said something that you don't agree with. They also said something you do agree with. You know, so it's like,
totally,
you have to just chew the meat and spit out the bones. And like, not everything's going to be for you, but they might say something that is. So like, you have to just position yourself to hear what people are trying to say. You know, but if all they say is bullshit, you just don't even pay attention. You know,
right? Yeah, it's to speak up, speak out. You know, I know it's like in this climate, there's a lot of fear to like really speak your mind on some things, and that doesn't mean that you have to like speak your mind on every single subject ever, especially if you're not well versed in it. I know like I'm kind of that way, and I know you know that about me, is that like sometimes I don't share my opinion because I don't feel like I know enough about something to like share. But also if you talk to me in person, I might say something, but on Twitter, I won't, you know. I'll just put out something positive or put out music stuff. So I do use social media more for like promotion than I do like just hot takes, I guess.
Yeah. Leave the hot takes to me.
You got the hot takes. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, but like to what you were saying is like sometimes like absolutely like we've spoken at length, and even on This Is Nonsense at length ad nauseum about police brutality, about systemic racism, but because that's something that we've seen and I know, and it's like, but do your research also, because like with what's going on in Palestine and Israel, like that's something I know absolutely nothing about, and I've done my due diligence, and as much research as I've done, I still have no clue. That's far out of my, that's way above my pay grade. Like I'm trying to understand what's going on, but like it's so hard. Like it's a lot going on. And like they'll say, and Gaza, I'm like, what's Gaza got to do with it? And it's like, that's above my pay grade, but I'm trying to understand. Yeah. And it's like, I know what's going on to an extent, and it's fucked up, but I don't know enough to speak on it, especially like on a podcast or on social media, because it's easy for people to say like, you don't know what you're talking about. And rightfully so. Like if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't talk about it, So that's why I only talk about the things that I know for sure. Right. Like I could say something that I heard someone say and that lines up with what my research is, but then someone on the other side of that could say, well, what about this? And it's like, I don't know. So you shouldn't have been talking about it. Right. In the first place, but also like do your due diligence and try to understand if you don't understand. Like even like with the LGBTQ community, it's like I don't understand everything. I'm not even going to pretend like I understand everything. Yeah. Even we've like tried to like we're like, so what's the difference between this and this? And we've done our research and it's like, okay, now I get it. Okay, like yes. So it's like we might not know everything because everything's so new. It's like everyone is starting to become themselves, and you don't even have to agree with it, but you ain't got no other option but to accept it because it's going to be there whether you like it or not, And it's like we've talked about before, like we're all in this together, whether you're black, white, straight, gay, whatever it is, we're all people. And like I've even like on the religious side of things, I've even looked at it like, ask yourself like the question, like, what would Jesus do? Because look at all the people that Jesus stood by. Right. Jesus stood by sex workers. So he led by example. And there's a whole community of people that live by that example, but aren't practicing what they're preaching. So it's like, he lived by that example. If Jesus were here today, he would stand by the what's the word, like the not necessarily outcasts, outliers. Like he would stand with those people that others would say is like immoral or whatever. Right. He stood by them then, and he would today. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're all in this together. We're all humans. know.
Right. And I was talking about this with you earlier too, because kind of going back to what you said about like systematic racism, like anyone that listens to us knows our opinion on that, and that we do believe that there is systematic things at work that hold down Black people in general. But also, I was bringing up a point about how it's kind of like almost in like tier levels of like, there's that, and then you go up a tier and you realize like, oh, there's also people of other races and white people as well that are being oppressed systematically. Not that that takes anything away from like Black experience, for example. Like just look at history, but it's like the further you go up, you kind of see that it's like, oh, it's like the rich people and the lower class, you know, or like you could say 1% and then the rest of the world. So there's a lot of things at work that are, you know, I guess counting against, you know, people of all different walks of life, you know, in some ways. Not that necessarily you should, like, that's the end of the story. Be like, all right, well then there's nothing left, right? Nothing here, nothing for me. That's not true. I definitely believe that things can change, but you have to change yourself first, and then change your communities from there.
Yeah. Like I was telling you, like as much as I know about the Black Panther Party, when I watched Judas and the Black Messiah, and it was a scene about the Rainbow Coalition. I never knew that was a thing. Because it's like it's not always about race, even though a lot of time it is, especially towards the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But look, there are also white people dealing with a lot of the same thing that are poor as hell, just like us. So it's like both can be true.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be race and it can be class, but there are also laws against anyone that's not what the people making the laws agree with.
Right.
Like even like and this was crazy. Like it was something that I don't know about it, so it's like I'm not even going to say anything about it. But a few years ago, when Trump was president, he said he made this like law or whatever. He said, I think it might have been gay. I don't think it was trans. It may have been trans, but either way, it was attacking that community, saying you're not allowed in the military. But then I was looking at all the comments, trying to like just get read up on it, and and I was trying to look into it as well. And someone I went to high school with, that apparently I'm still friends with on Facebook. He is in the military, and he is Black, and there's a lot of the Black community is LGBT, but there's a lot of homophobia in it as well. On the other side of that, and like even just growing up, we've all experienced that, but it's like we've all seen it.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Right.
So
each individual experience, right? There's something to be said as far as disadvantages are concerned.
Yeah, but like my Black friend in the military said, no, this is a good thing because they will be ridiculed, and they will be, because a lot of the military is homophobic. So this is actually a good thing for them.
Right.
Because they won't have to deal with that while they're like, they're serving their country, but, and that's something to be proud of, but it's bad for them because they have to deal with that in real life, but now they have to deal with it while they're serving their country. So like, it's good to actually have a debate and a conversation, because I never would have, if I only listened to what one side is saying, I would never have heard like the perspective, like someone that for every, like just probably is or isn't against that community, is standing up for that community and actually has a perspective that someone that just lives in America but doesn't serve America in the military, he has a different perspective and opinion, and like it's an actually a human opinion. Like when I heard that, like, because it was never anything that I would have expected from him,
Right.
Because I think like in high school, like he was like it never came up, but like I could see, like looking back, like he could have been homophobic, but it's like to see him actually defend them is like, you got to hear people out.
Yeah. Totally.
Because like a lot of people come at people that don't understand, like especially like the LGBTQ community, like that don't necessarily understand because it's foreign to them, but they're still trying to understand. So if they misspeak, it's an attack. But it's really like, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
So like there is, everyone calm down. Where even if it comes across the wrong way, there's no malice intent.
Right.
It's a misspeak.
Right.
Like it's a misnomer. It's like it was an accident.
Yes. Right.
There's no harm.
It's all about
behind
the
it.
intention. Yeah, it's all about yeah. It's definitely all about the intention for sure. But I think we have to realize, like, and this is something that I'm realizing for me, and you probably see me post stuff about this too, but like just seeing how connected we all are. Now there's going to be times where you feel like, you know, you don't belong in those labels or those communities. It's like, I don't think like that them. I don't think like, you know, that's kind of like the tribal thing, right? But you have to kind of realize your own uniqueness in some way, and like realize that you have your own thoughts and feelings, but also realize that you're not as different as maybe you think you are to everyone else. Everyone has their own experiences, their own lived experiences. And you can find, I think you and I are a testament to that too, because it's like, and we say this time and time again, but it's like we grew up in different parts of the city or outside of the city or in the city, right? And it's like our skin color or our religious background. Well, I mean, we both grew up Christian, so we do have that in common. But like, but keeping that in mind, that like I know that there are people in like my friend community that have different backgrounds, but I'm very, very lucky to have people that are at least receptive and understanding to all of it, that I don't feel like I have to walk on eggshells with them, you know? I feel like we all recognize, you know, we all have a past, we all have a history. I'm working with cool guys that don't hold someone's past against them, because we see that all the time, especially in cancel culture. But like that, I just feel lucky to have a group of people that are as understanding as they are, that can be Black or of Latin descent or Asian or white, and we all find some kind of common ground, which is creativity. Our passions are all the same. So, and we all bleed red at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If you cut us open, we bleed red. So, and that's, again, that's not to diminish what certain communities go through. There's something to be said for that, of course. If we isolate those things, it's like, okay, this is a problem, we need to deal with it. But also, we don't have to look at it as, oh, that's a Black person problem, that's a white person problem. Is let's work together and figure this out, you know? Yeah, so.
Yeah. And like, as corny as we're all in this together is,
I know, right?
it is the most corny and like corporate thing you could say.
Like it almost means nothing.
Yeah. Like it, like in last week's episode, This Is Nonsense, I like said, we're all in this together. I was like, bro, take that shit out. But like, it's true, you know, like, and that's the thing. Like, that's the thing about like last year. There was like this awakening and understanding. Everyone's been talking about, we've all been talking about our struggle. Now you see it. And now it's like, we're having these open dialogues and conversations, but like, what about the other communities that have been saying this and you haven't been listening? So like now let's understand them. Let's try to understand their story. Then like, you'll never understand someone's struggle because it's unique to them, but you can always learn to try to understand, you know, because you'll never fully understand, but you can understand, but you'll never fully understand, you know. Some
people don't want to understand.
Yeah.
Some people, and you have to realize your limitations with that, you know. There's snakes in the water. You know, there are people living amongst you that, you know, maybe you thought had good intentions and their intentions are bad. They're not willing to hear you out, or their ego is just in the way. That's a thing too. So as much as I want to say it's all going to be rainbows and unicorns with it's all of us together, there are some people that aren't ready for that. Some people don't want that. They don't want to support. They don't want to uplift. They're just going to criticize your every move. Or, I mean, whatever motive that would be, jealousy, that could be, is they're trying to one up everybody or something. It's like, bro, it's not a competition. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And then there are people that will try to have at least like a base level of understanding. It's like, all right, I get it. Not for me, but I get it. You know, and it's like, at least you put up an effort. Some people just aren't. You know, some people are like living in the past. Like I was talking about, and this is nonsense. It was 4 years, with the Confederacy.
I can't believe it was
y'all lost.
Bro, I keep seeing all these memes about that too. It'd be like it'd be something like SpongeBob has been on longer than the Confederacy. Dude, that show's been on for like 20 years. It's like we should just put a statue of SpongeBob up there, bro. You know?
And a lot of people would be for that.
But like it's crazy to me that like the Confederacy was like not even 5 years, right? It's nuts, bro. We got flags of it everywhere.
Yeah, we're talking to you, Yellow Wolf.
But I'm all for it. Like replace.
You're all for it? What?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Whoa.
No, but I guess that's despite there being, I guess, disunity, if that's even a word. Don't let that get in the way of know who's there for you in your community too, because it's not gonna be perfect. I realize that.
Because like they're like even like the community that's under attack. No matter what community it is, it's always people that are going to attack their allies. Like, what do you gain from attacking your ally?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if like it was someone misspoke, or even didn't even do that. Like, right. There's just some like even like black people that are like still like, man, fuck white people. They're white allies.
Right.
What?
Right.
Not every white person is hanging black people.
Right.
And they still hanging us. Like there was a hanging not that long ago here at Piedmont Park.
So and you're saying that, and some people could take that as you're putting a damper on systematic racism. It's like, no, you're not. You're just, you can two things can be true. There can be a system of oppression, but also allies too. That it's not all men. It's not all white people. It's not all this or that.
Jane Elliott, a white woman during the civil rights, was an activist. Two things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
And Jane Elliott be spit to this day still.
Right. And to kind of go back to what we were saying a little earlier too, like I've learned stuff from people on the left and the right as far as politics go. Mm. Like there's points that I've taken from either side. And I'm like, that's an interesting point. I could actually see that, like, you saying like Candace Owens or Alex Jones or any of these other people that you wouldn't necessarily typically agree with them, depending, looking at the political side that they might be on, or not a side at all, doesn't mean that you can't, take some good from what they say too. I think there's something to be said for a lot of people that I disagree with. What's the statement that we like to say? Is the broken clock is right twice a day? So there is that. That is true. So yeah, just I guess be open, be receptive, be understanding.
Yeah, and like that's the thing I hate about having a two-party system is I fall in neither of them, because there are things on the left that I agree with, and there are things on the right that I agree with. I'm somehow a registered Democrat in the state of America. I mean, in the state of Georgia.
State of America.
It's fuck the state of America.
Yeah.
But
the state of denial.
But so somehow I'm a registered Democrat and I have only voted for Democratic presidents, but I've also voted for some Republicans. Like if I think the Democrat is on some bullshit and the Republican has actually said something, I'm like, I actually agree with that. Then like, cause I say, like, I don't just pay attention to who's running for president. I pay attention to far more than that. You know, I especially pay attention to local politics because that directly affects me, you know? So it's like, you have to hear both sides, and like the left is anti-gun and the right is, like, as how it's always stated, the left is anti-gun and the right is pro-gun. I am pro-gun. I am also pro stricter gun laws. You know, two things can be true. You know, and so many other things, like two things can be true. You know?
Right. It's like the nature versus nurture thing. Two things can be true. It's like, how could somebody commit this atrocity? Is it a mental health issue? Were they born this way? Or were they? That's an argument I see a lot with like therapists, psychologists, stuff like, you know, the nature versus nurture argument. Two things can be true. Maybe they were raised without parents or abusive parents, combined with predisposed, you know, opioids. You know, that's a whole other thing we talk about too. Opioid crisis. You know, born into your parents that struggle with that. You know, so there's all kinds of things to that. Yeah, for sure. And you know, politics, like when it comes to like calling out the left hasn't been really calling out the left, you know.
Nope.
I saw all the posts about, you know, holding Biden accountable, and you know, that was before he was elected and everything. So, or before the inauguration, I think I saw some posts circulating around. But I hadn't really seen a whole lot of that lately. It seems like everything's kind of shifted to other discussions, and it, you know, and I'm not saying that anybody has to be, you know, criticizing every single thing that a politician does if they don't feel it necessary. But the thing is, I'm just trying to hold y'all to your word. You know what I mean? Keep the same energy, I guess.
If you've ever listened to this podcast or This Is Nonsense, you probably think I definitely voted for Trump because I only talk shit about Biden. Hold him accountable. I voted for him. Work.
Yeah.
Work. We voted for you.
Yeah.
Work for us. You've made promises that have fallen through every single time. And like, he's still holding on to bipartisanship. They showed you and told you we ain't going for that.
Yeah.
So fuck them and do what you told us you're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, we got to hold him accountable. Hold his geriatric ass accountable.
Yeah. Right. But, and that, you know, me saying that, obviously it doesn't mean that I'm right wing by any means, and that you're right wing by any means. But right now, because of what's going on, you're really just keeping that same energy, you know? It's like, I voted for this guy. The least I could do is speak out against some of the things I don't agree with that he's doing, you know? I think that's wise. I think it's socially immature to, you know, just because you voted for somebody, now, I can't criticize them because that makes me look bad because that's my political side or whatever. So, I don't really agree with that. I think anything and everything is open to criticism. Not that you have to share your criticism with everything and that it's always deemed necessary, because, you know, there are some people that like to stick their opinion where it doesn't belong. But
ask for your unsolicited constructive criticism.
But the point still stands that I think anything and everything is open to criticism. And if you're going to hold someone to a standard, I mean, hold them to that standard, you know, live by your own word. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man, I was about to say something wild.
Ah.
I was about to
Now
say
I'm curious what it
something
is.
wild about Kamala Harris. But yeah. No, but when she like this is wild, but like when she did say don't come in Mexico, and then even like her like snaking her way out of like well kind of like doubling down, but also like and then even the White House was like, yo, get y'all's girl. We did not say that. And she has some stupid response like, have you been to the border? We've been there. Like,
Oh yeah,
no,
I
but
saw
like,
that clip.
yeah, but like, and she's like, I've never been to Europe. Like, no, ain't nobody asked about Europe. Have you been to the border? So look at this fuck shit. The yo people doing.
Moving goalposts, is that
Yeah.
what that is? Yeah.
But no, like when she said don't come in Mexico, I was like, yeah, this is the same person that locked hella black and Mexican people up in her state. Of course she's gonna say that. You know, it's just like one of those moments like, yeah, it's pretty fucked up, huh? We voted for this person. You know, and no one said she's our first black vice president since she's been cutting up.
It's been Kamala here. Who? Or it's like, no, she white. No, yeah, it's the come get your girl thing, right? Like, we didn't say that.
Yeah,
that's funny to me though. But
yeah, but it's all about accountability.
yeah, absolutely.
Like we voted for you, we put you in position, do your job for the people that voted for you, not for yourself, for the people that voted for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're trying to be the people that did, like he said, I'm going to be the president for the people that voted for me and for the people that didn't vote for me. You're just being a president for the people that didn't vote for you. Be there for us because we definitely show up in record numbers for you.
Right.
You know, so like that's what I'm about, just keeping that same energy. You know, holding the people that we put in position accountable because we put you in position for a reason, not just because you're not Trump and Pence. You made promises. Your ass ain't checking. You know, you wrote checks. Your ass ain't cashing right now. That money, those checks bounce. And my ass needs some money. I could go for another semi.
Politics, man, it's so corrupt, bro.
Yeah. I need that next stimmy.
Give me
Biden.
Yes.
As Douglas said from the D-List podcast, Joseph Biden.
Joseph Biden. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. But yeah, this whole podcast, just if you don't take anything away from this podcast, listen to the D-List podcast.
Yeah. Take something away from there if you don't take something away from here. So
you might get mad at some of the shit he says.
I love it.
Depending on where you stand on the left or the right.
I love it.
I'm sticking with my boy. You got me rolling like this boy spitting. I was thinking that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, but I think we did the thing.
Did all the things.
You know, I'm sure someone's going to say something like, I'm sure when we have movies and number one albums and like, you can pull up like, look what they said in episode 181. You missed the whole fucking point because we said,
yeah, right.
You missed the whole point in 40 minutes. Your ass took away. We said for 2 seconds.
What is time?
When we elaborated.
What is time?
You know, I'd be scared about saying the wrong thing sometimes. Like, bro, I want to direct some of these.
Free speech, my boy. Free speech.
Talk about censorship. Ain't that what we talked about last week?
Could always have a discussion on censorship. That's a hot topic.
Speaking of
right
Alex Jones.
Yeah, right.
Man. I hope these allergies ain't getting to y'all.
It's getting to us here in Georgia. All right.
And Arizona. Because your boy got hit with it twice.
got that dry heat over there, and you got the swampy heat over here.
It was raining and it was cold one week, and it was hot as hell next week, and then I went to Arizona.
Bro, I don't even know how I'm wearing something this hot.
Me neither. I was about to ask you before we started recording, like, you sure?
Yeah, we gonna do this? Or, yeah, I regret it. Instant regret.
Yeah, Arizona is 40 degrees hotter, and it's dry heat. But I did learn something from my uncle about like air conditioning. There's no such thing as cold air. It's all filters. The AC sucks that humid air, the humidity out, and it cycles it and it pushes it out. So it's appearing as it's cooler.
Is that right?
It's the same
when
in
you
cars.
blow like this, it's cool, but then you go, it's hot. The more you open your mouth, the hotter it is, and the more you close your mouth.
Probably, man. I was asking about air conditioners.
I'm just saying, try it.
But that is a good point, though. I didn't think, like when you said it, I was like, he spit.
Yeah,
I used to do that when I was a kid.
right. Your mouth is filtering it, right?
Yeah, my mouth has no filter.
That's right. That's why you should subscribe to This Is Nonsense, so you can get the unfiltered Rob.
Yeah.
You're more unfiltered there than you
I had to have a disclaimer saying, this podcast ain't gunning for white people.
I know once I saw that episode, the America KK, that I was like, oh, it's going to be edgy. That's right.
Yeah, it was going to be called Black Americans. Like, no, it's not enough.
No, you got to go. Yes. I'm like, so this is the kind of podcast we're going to have. All right.
And then 2 episodes later, I was like, bro, that shit is exhausting. Talking about this every week is exhausting. Here's a motivational episode. You know, but I like had been like in my head about that. Like, well, what kind of podcast is this going to be? Like, bro, it's just a podcast.
It's just a podcast. It's just Rob Unfiltered. That's what it is. Yep.
Yep. I'm next episode, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to say something crazy.
Like, you know what you're going to say, or you just feel like it's
I know I was going to talk about when I hit record on the last episode. Luckily, something good came out.
All right.
And I hit export. I was like, bro, that was kind of good.
It's like sometimes, like, you know, when you're like halfway through saying what you're saying and you're like realizing.
You're trying to make it make sense.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm already in it. I got to finish my thought. Sometimes, though, I'll be like.
That was me this episode, some of it.
Yeah. But then it's like when I get done saying what I'm going to say, I was like, yeah.
That made sense.
That was pretty good.
I didn't realize my mic wasn't even up to my mouth. I was like, yeah, that made sense. We are all in this together.
Then you listen back and you're like, I might delete this episode.
I gotta take out all of the shit I said about that comedian. And then when we get to when I said, yeah, 40 minutes in, like we are 25 minutes into this episode.
This is what happens to me. It's almost like an imposter steps in my brain. Like when I'm doing something creative, I'm like halfway through recording it and I'm like, bro, I don't know. This may not work. And then like once the final product is there, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be
inside
dope.
baseball. Last week's episode, This Is Nonsense. I had to start over like twice because the first time I said something crazy. Like not even like crazy about like society, but like it was like on the nose, like not even realizing like I'm talking about something that this makes sense to something that just happened. That's kind of crazy. And then I went even harder the second time about something else. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like this is just a bitter episode. And then I start over and I was like, all right, this makes more sense. And I'm saying the same thing, but it makes more sense in general instead of my specific situation. It's like, bro, you gonna shoot somebody when this episode's over.
Sometimes you gotta edit yourself a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That's all right. That's all right.
And someone's going to say, like, he said he's going to shoot someone after this episode. And they're going to take that and say, like, see? That's what we're saying. I'm missing the point. Even when I was in Arizona, I said something. Even my dad was like, that's it. That's exactly what I'm saying. And then he was like, that's exactly it. And then 3 other people were like, yeah, we could do this. And I'm like, y'all missing an entire point that I just said. Y'all missing the point. And they thought it was funny. And then the shit happened.
You had a wild time out there in Arizona.
It was a lot of 4 days. Everything happened.
I didn't hear from you. I didn't know if the reception was bad, if you were getting some drama, if there was some drama going on or something. Apparently.
I was literally in the desert. Like what this room feels like right now.
You should have filmed out there. That's what you should have done.
Nah, you see, I got that. It says on the videographer. That was a long way too. If I would,
I'm just getting hot just thinking about it. I'm already hot.
I'm getting hot thinking about some other shit. I had to hit record a few times on the last episode. This is nonsense.
Calm down, Rob. Simmer down.
Manhandle somebody. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
I'm scared now. Am I going to have to hold you back?
Because I'm pro-gun. He's scared because I'm pro-gun. I love how the first half of this episode was... I got water too. I love how this first half of this episode was like, we're all in this together. And it's like, none but fuck shit in the second half.
Our podcast could be broken up into 2 parts if we really wanted to.
Snyder Cut. When it going to be broken up into 4 parts?
Yeah. That or
2 hour long episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could just do a 4-hour episode one day and then chop it up into different.
Part A this week, part B next week. Hear the crazy shit they said next week.
Subscribe to our Patreon to get the special content, the unedited, completely unfiltered Rob and Brad for $20 a month.
What do you say, Brad? Should we cut out some of this shit or should we let it ride? Executive decision right here, right now. I've had to make executive decisions.
Rob, where can the people find you?
So I'm going first. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can find This Is Nonsense on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I release new episodes every Thursday. Every Thursday. Please subscribe. Like I said, not every episode is going to be video and audio. Like last week was audio only. But it's a lot to say.
There's a lot.
There's a lot to set this shit up, and I had 3 hours of sleep. So thank you to everyone that listened to the audio. But Brad, where can people find yo hot and dehydrated?
I was gonna be like, where are you going with that?
Everybody find your sexy.
You can find me on Instagram at Brad Pallone and Twitter at Brad_Pallone. And you can also find my photography at Ghost Proof Photography on all social media platforms. And you can find my music at Battle of Heart on all social media platforms and all streaming platforms at Battle of Heart.
Numbers up.
Please run those numbers up. Thank you. Rob?
Country, where can people find you?
That's your precious dog over there.
Yeah. That just barged in. So if y'all heard that, because last time he barged in and we were like, hopefully y'all couldn't hear that. I edited the podcast. Y'all could hear that. And I left it. But you can find this Sync and Desist. You can find Sync and Desist wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find Sync and Desist wherever you listen to podcasts. We listen to episodes every Tuesday. So please rate, review, subscribe, and share. And we will catch you, hopefully, not seeming high, next week.
Later.